everyone. I am Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Jetty 1, and you can bet on that! And today, we are going to take a look at The Karate Kid Part 2. The Karate Kid Part 2 is the sequel to The Karate Kid, and this installment continues the journey of both Daniel-san and Mr. Miyagi as they travel to Miyagi's homeland of Okinawa, and there they find that Mr. Miyagi has some old grievances with a friend of his, as well as an ailing father who is about to pass on. With that, Daniel finds that he has himself a new enemy in the form of Mr. Miyagi's former best friend's nephew, and therefore has to not only fight for the honor, but also for his own life. With that said, let's all travel off to Okinawa and see how this adventure turns out. Karate Kid Part 2 opens up immediately after Daniel defeats Johnny in the All-Valley tournament. Johnny hands the trophy to Daniel and said, "You're all right, LaRusso." This cements that Johnny respects him enough to stop bullying him. As Daniel and Mr. Miyagi are leaving, Daniel is congratulated by both spectators and officials alike. But Sensei John Kreese is not happy by the loss of his dojo in the tournament. He takes out his aggression on Johnny by kicking him off the team, breaking his trophy, and strangling him. Despite Johnny's bullying, neither Daniel nor Mr. Miyagi like seeing Johnny suffer like this. Not wanting to let Kreese torment Johnny anymore, Mr. Miyagi breaks Kreese's hold on Johnny and the two square off against one another. After Kreese injures himself in his failed attempts to strike Mr. Miyagi plants him on his knees and grips him as he prepares to deliver his punishment.
Mercy is for the weak. We do not train to be merciful here. A man face you, he is enemy. Enemy deserve no mercy.
Nah, I'm just punking with you. That's not what really happened. Here's what really happened.
You could have killed him, couldn't you?
Right?
Well, why didn't you then?
Because, Daniel-san, for person with no forgiveness in heart, living even worse punishment than death.
That, and too many witnesses. 6 months later, after the All-Valley tournament, Mr. Miyagi finally succeeds in catching a fly with chopsticks, something he had not been able to do and Daniel had beaten him to in the first movie. After accomplishing this feat, Daniel returns from the prom all bitter after his breakup with Allie. One thing I'd like to correct myself on, in the first Karate Kid review that I did, I said that Daniel was ducking Johnny by sneaking into the prom in a shower disguise. The truth is, I was mistaken and I fumbled my words. It was actually a Halloween dance that this happened at. The prom takes place at this point in time. After Daniel and Allie break up off screen, Daniel is all mopey until Mr. Miyagi reminds him to breathe in order to calm himself. After helping to calm Daniel, Mr. Miyagi receives a letter from Okinawa stating that his father is sick and that he needs to return home. Daniel, concerned for his mentor, decides to use his college fund to purchase a ticket to go with Mr. Miyagi to help support him. This in turn helps strengthen the bond they develop even further. To Okinawa! Upon landing in Okinawa, Daniel and Mr. Miyagi come across a poster of Sato, Miyagi's childhood friend turned arch-enemy, after Miyagi declared his love for the woman Sato was arranged to be married to.
Can you break a log like that?
Don't know. Never been attacked by a tree.
Okay, I got nothing on that. That's a good line. As they leave the airport, Daniel and Mr. Miyagi are approached by a young man named Chozen, who has come to give them a ride to their destination. Unfortunately, it turns out the destination was Sato's warehouse, and there it is revealed that Chozen is in fact Sato's nephew. Chozen, like Sato, see Mr. Miyagi as a coward because when Miyagi was meant to fight Sato for his arranged fiancée, he instead fled to America where he would meet his late wife, who died in childbirth. Sato allows Miyagi the time to be with his father out of courtesy due to Sato having been trained by Miyagi's father at young Miyagi's request. But he intends to make Mr. Miyagi face him as he should have years ago in a fight to the death. After Miyagi's father passes, Miyagi sits alone for a bit to grieve before he is comforted by Daniel, who understands how losing a father feels. This strengthens their bond even further. During their stay in Okinawa, Mr. Miyagi shows Daniel the Miyagi family dojo and proceeds to teach him the drum technique, a technique inspired by a little toy drum on a stick with two small balls attached to it. As he struggles to learn the drum technique, Daniel meets Okinawa native girl Kumiko, an aspiring dancer who he becomes smitten with as he immediately gets over his breakup with Allie. As he grows close with her, though, Chozen decides to harass them in a way that makes what Johnny Lawrence and the Cobra Kais did look like child's play. One day after training, Daniel is able to get back at Chozen for exposing his robbing the villagers of their money with fake weight measurements for food. While Daniel gets closer with Kumiko, they come upon an old castle that was once used for festivals, and Daniel learns that Sato bought it and left it abandoned ever since. As they travel into town, Daniel learns that Chozen is so talented in karate that he actually trains the Okinawan police force. Daniel and Kumiko then come across a gathering where soldiers from the nearby army base gamble in testing their strength by chopping ice blocks. Hey, that's the hacker guy from Die Hard, and Trevette from Walker, Texas Ranger. What's he doing there? While they're there, Chozen shows up and tries to humiliate Daniel as payback for exposing his fraud by challenging him to ice chopping. Daniel doesn't want to, but Chozen isn't taking no for an answer. When Mr. Miyagi arrives, he doubles the amount in Daniel's favor, to which Chozen gets nervous as he can't cover it. When Sato arrives to cover him, Miyagi supports Daniel in hopes to give him the confidence to succeed.
One, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. What you glad rags on? Join me home. We'll have some fun when the clock strikes 1. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
Daniel and Kumiko's celebration is interrupted, however, by Chozen, who demands the money he lost back. Daniel turns the tables as he hits Chozen where it really hurts, and the two make their escape. Back at the Miyagi household, Daniel and Kumiko see Mr. Miyagi and his first love reconnecting, and this convinces the two to get closer as well. To the song Glory of Love by Peter Cetera, the lead singer of Chicago, which is my stepdad's favorite band.
Tonight it's very clear as we're both lying here. There's so many things I wanna say. I will always love you. I would never leave you alone.
Meanwhile, Miyagi attempts to convince Sato to let go of his anger, but Sato is dead set on sticking by tradition to regain his honor. Miyagi clearly has no intention of giving in to Sato's demands because, despite Sato's ruthless efforts, Miyagi still sees him as a dear friend that he cherishes and does not wish to fight him to the death. Likely because Miyagi knows that if he does, he will be the winner, and his victory will come at a price too high for him to pay. Now, that is the kind of love that very, very few people in this world can truly understand. And no, this isn't a gay kind of love. This is straight up heterosexual man love. This is a bromance where they basically are not willing to take each other's lives. They love one another, but they don't get romantic about it. That is the kind of love that very few people in this world truly understand. Determined to make Miyagi give in, he sends his nephew and his thugs to wreck Miyagi's home and beat up Daniel. Sensing that he and Mr. Miyagi will have to leave in order to avoid more attacks from Sato and Chozen, Daniel offers to bring Kumiko with him, but she is uncertain, and this fills the young lovers with heartache. In a last attempt to make Mr. Miyagi fight him, he acquires the deed to the village and threatens to plow it even with the people in it to build over it. In a desperate effort to save the village and the people, Mr. Miyagi gives in to his demands after guaranteeing that the deed is returned to the village regardless of who wins. Suddenly, a fierce storm hits the village, forcing Miyagi and Daniel to save Sato, who was abandoned by Chozen for dead. Upon saving him, he assists Mr. Miyagi and Daniel in saving the Bell Girl, who was trapped in the tower as a loose electrical wire threatens to electrify her. Upon saving her, Sato disowns his nephew for abandoning him. The next day, Sato thanks Miyagi for saving him by calling off the fight, returning the deed, and offering to repair the village. At Daniel's request, Sato reopens the old castle for the local festival to reinvigorate the dampened spirits of the villagers. During the festival, where Daniel is thanked by the girl he saved and Sato dances with the villagers, the festival is closed out by Kumiko, who shyly performs a geisha dance in an effort to display her skills in hopes she will be recognized for it. Suddenly, the dance is crashed by Chozen. Chozen holds a knife at Kumiko's throat and threatens to kill her unless Daniel fights him to the death in order to regain his lost honor, despite the fact that he had none to begin with, as he was cheating people out of their money, and there being no honor in that whatsoever. His uncle, Mr. Miyagi, and Daniel fail to reason with him, as he will not take no for an answer. Forced to accept his challenge, Daniel prepares to face him when Mr. Miyagi gives him a cryptic warning.
Daniel-san, it's not tournament. It's for real.
Forced to remove the bridge and isolate himself, Chozen, and Kumiko from escaping to safety, Daniel starts off getting sucker punched and is put on the defensive when Kumiko briefly chokes Chozen. Chozen smacks her aside and Daniel squares off against the ruthless fighter. Daniel delivers a few punches before being shoved into the center statue. Poising himself to deliver the move that won him the All Valley tournament, Daniel prepares to deliver the crane technique to end the fight early. But Chozen, being a student of Miyagi-Do, anticipates this and counters the move in spite of what Miyagi informed Daniel about it having no defense if done right. Daniel is knocked back into the statue before Chozen attempts to kick his head off, but Daniel dodges it as Chozen's kick breaks off a part of the statue. After blocking a few strikes, Daniel delivers some kicks and punches that weaken Chozen. Chozen counters with a chokehold that Daniel slips out of, only for Chozen to flip him onto his back. Daniel gets back onto his feet and delivers quick, hard punches to his ribs, but Chozen counters with an uppercut before kicking Daniel back into the statue. Daniel defeats Chozen with the drum technique and stands over him, preparing to deliver his punishment.
Live or die, man. Die. Wrong.
And that was The Karate Kid Part 2. And boy, what an adventure it was. Okinawa is such an amazing place once you bypass a few ruffians like Chosen. But otherwise, it is a really wonderful, calm, peaceful place. I really feel like I belong there. In fact, I don't think I want to go. I don't want to leave. But unfortunately, the adventure has to continue, and I do have a place back home to get to. What's that? Cobra Kai is back? Uh-oh. Looks like I'm gonna have to go up and face him again. I'm Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Jetty 1, and you can bet on that!